Welcome to the Cheating Story Lab. During a courtroom break, my lawyer whispered four transformative words. We found the house. For 3 months, I had been labeled a liar, watching my wife cry before judges and mediators, while my children looked at me with suspicion. That morning, sitting under fluorescent lights in the chilly courtroom, I was finally presented with evidence, not conjecture or theories, but proof. In precisely 47 minutes, Christine Mercer would discover the consequences of constructing a case on a bed of lies. However, let me start from the beginning. For you see, the woman who accused me of financial deceit had been concealing something far more valuable than money. My name is Daniel Mercer, aged 54, and for 22 years I thought I was married to my closest confidant. 1999, Christine and I crossed paths at a mutual friend's barbecue. At the time, she was a paralegal at a downtown law firm, while I was 3 years into my HVAC business venture. Our common values, such as dedication, ambition, and the belief that a strong partnership could foster a fulfilling life, drew us together. We exchanged vows 14 months later in a simple ceremony with 40 attendees. As her father escorted her down the aisle, his eyes brimmed with tears. For the subsequent 15 years, I considered our marriage to be good, not flawless, but robust. We welcomed Mitchell and Caroline, now 24 and 21, into our family. Over time, my business expanded from a solitary van and toolbox to a company employing 32 individuals and servicing contracts across the region. Christine managed our financial affairs, leveraging her paralegal background for this task due to her expertise in documents, organization, and record-keeping. In full confidence, she was the one I trusted. My initial error, perhaps my sole significant mistake, emerged around our 16th year. Christine grew distant. She voiced her concerns over my excessive work hours, despite it being my job that supported our lifestyle. She embarked on weekend excursions to reconnect with her college roommate in Charleston. She joined a literary club every Thursday evening, which I observed but didn't probe. I rationalized our situation, convinced we would renew our bond once the children left home. I told myself numerous things that allowed me rest at night. 18 months ago, Christine broke the news of her desire for a divorce at our kitchen table. She leveled no accusations against me that night. No infidelity, no violence, no explicit criticisms. Instead, she explained that she had drifted away from me, that she needed self-discovery, and expressed hope for an amicable separation. I was devastated, but agreed to maintain civility. Considering our children and business shared memories, I proposed counseling as a solution first, but she rejected it, stating her decision was final. This was my second warning, as she had already consulted an attorney. The fact that she sought legal advice before disclosing her dissatisfaction didn't register with me due to my emotional distress. I still believed Christine, who I considered honest, fair, and reasonable, was the woman I married. I engaged another attorney, Helen Bryce, recommended by a business associate. She was competent, experienced, and straightforward. In our initial conversation, she asked a question that later proved insightful. "Mr. Mercer, are you fully aware of your marital finances?" I responded by stating Christine had managed the financial aspects, but I trusted her. Helen's countenance remained unchanged, but something suggestive passed through her eyes. "Immediately propose we demand complete financial disclosure," I suggested, to prevent the opposing party from altering anything. And I agreed, thinking it customary practice, unaware of the revelations that lay ahead. The financial discovery process stretched over 3 months. A period filled with document requests, bank statements, tax returns, credit card records. At first, Christine's lawyer, Gerald Stanton, was cooperative. However, he later became evasive, submitting late or incomplete documents, omitting certain accounts mysteriously, and Helen spotted the pattern before I did. She indicated to me in a phone call 2 months ago that she's concealing something. The issue is what it might be. We engaged a forensic accountant named Raymond Casalano for this purpose. Raymond is 62, spent 20 years with the IRS before going private, and has a reputation for uncovering hidden funds. His fee is high, but Helen assured me it would be justified. "If there's anything there," she said, "Raymond will find it." As things progressed, Christine intensified her actions. She filed a motion accusing me of hiding assets, claiming my business has unreported income, secret accounts, and systematic concealment of our true net worth to cheat her out of her rightful share. She emotionally appealed to the judge during the preliminary hearing, describing her career sacrifices to raise our children while I grew my empire. She portrayed herself as a victim, a loyal wife allegedly deceived by a selfish husband. Judge Walter Pemberton maintained an impartial demeanor as he directed both parties to disclose all financial details. He appointed a guardian ad litem for our adult children, since Christine claimed I had influenced them against her. Mitchell and Caroline hadn't communicated with their mother in half a year, not due to any words I said about Christine, but because they uncovered something independently. My son Mitchell assisted his mother in setting up a new laptop 3 months before she filed for divorce. During the data transfer, he found an undeleted folder containing hundreds of emails over 3 years from a man named Brent Holloway, who was Christine's cousin's stepson and had no blood relation to her. He resided in coastal North Carolina and worked in real estate development. The emails were not romantic. They were more concerning as they involved finances. My son Mitchell showed me screenshots, his hands trembling as he gave me his phone. "Dad," he said, "I believe Mom has been embezzling from you." The emails revealed a scheme lasting at least 5 years. Christine had been siphoning money from our accounts, starting with small amounts, then growing larger, and transferring it to Brent for real estate investments under her maiden name Holloway, properties that didn't appear in our financial disclosure. Among them was a 3-bedroom beach house in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, bought 18 months before she requested divorce, currently valued at $840,000. I faced a tough decision. My wife had accused me of concealing assets while sitting on almost $1 million worth of undisclosed real estate. As Helen had advised, the worst action to take was confronting Christine head-on. Helen mentioned, "She'll find a way to justify it if you reveal your hand prematurely." We needed a watertight evidence set, requiring proper documentation she couldn't refute. Thus, I waited, gathered, and documented. Raymond Casalano tracked the money transfers, uncovering 17 distinct transactions amounting to $412,000 over 5 years. Funds were traced from our joint account to a secretly opened personal account by Christine, then to Brent Holloway's real estate investment firm, followed by property acquisitions. We obtained copies of the property deeds under Christine Holloway's name, found receipts for house renovations, a new roof, discovered that she was regularly visiting her beach house instead of her college roommate in Charleston as claimed, and this beach house was 3 hours from our home. Additionally, Raymond found something else. In response to the joint account shared by Brent and Christine with a balance of $63,000, revealing years of separate financial activity, Helen formulated our strategy. We would abstain from filing a preemptive motion, avoid making premature accusations, wait for the trial, allow Christine to present her case, dramatize and portray me as the antagonist, and then we would present our evidence. "Let her construct her argument," Helen said, "then we dismantle it." The court date was scheduled for a Thursday in November. Sleeplessness wasn't due to fear but excitement, as for months I had been branded a liar, a fraud, a thief, a husband who would rob his spouse. My community reputation had faltered, friends had taken sides, primarily hers. Now at last I was to tell the truth. The courtroom was more compact than anticipated. In a room adorned with wooden panels, bathed in fluorescent light, and carrying a subtle scent of cleaning solution, Christine sat across from Gerald Stanton. Clad in a demure gray dress and minimal makeup, she exuded the air of a woman who had suffered injustice. I, dressed in a navy suit, was seated next to Helen, who arranged 3 boxes of documents labeled with color-coded tabs. Raymond Casalano, prepared to serve as an expert witness, waited in the gallery. At exactly 9 a.m., Judge Pemberton entered. A man in his 60s, portly and sporting a gray beard and reading glasses he often readjusted, was known for his fairness and diligence, not easily swayed by dramatics. First presenting their case was Christine's side. Gerald Stanton rose to make an opening statement, depicting me as a money-obsessed individual ready to conceal assets rather than equitably distribute them with the woman who had stood by him for 2 decades. Subsequently, Christine stepped up to the stand. I must admit she was compelling. In a marriage spanning 22 years, I had never fully realized her talents for unveiling secrets. She spoke softly while drying her eyes with a tissue, explaining how she had placed unwavering trust in me, believing we were equals, and feeling immense sorrow upon discovering my secret stashing of money in concealed accounts. She presented her proof, bank statements revealing inconsistencies, business documents she claimed exposed unreported earnings, constructing such a persuasive narrative that it almost convinced me myself. Gerald Stanton questioned her about the hidden funds she had discovered. Christine nodded solemnly, stating, "I found evidence that Daniel was transferring money into accounts I wasn't aware of." The judge scribbled notes. The court reporter typed diligently. I remained motionless, my hands folded on the table in front of me. Finally, it was our turn. Helen rose slowly, adjusting her jacket. Christine advanced to the courtroom center, pausing for a moment as quiet filled the room. "Mrs. Mercer," she started, "you stated you found your husband concealing assets. Could you explain to the court how you uncovered this?" Christine recounted her tale, detailing her review of bank statements, noticing discrepancies, growing suspicious, and believing these hidden assets formed a substantial part of the marital estate. Affirmatively, Christine replied. Helen nodded. Turning, she collected a folder, addressing Mrs. Mercer again. "Are you acquainted with a property situated at 847 Ocean Vista Drive in Emerald Isle, North Carolina?" The color left Christine's face, and the courtroom fell silent. Gerald Stanton leaned in, his countenance clouded by bewilderment. As Christine's mouth opened but no words escaped, Helen spoke calmly. "Allow me to be more precise. This 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom beach house was bought for $765,000 in August 2 years ago and is currently estimated to be worth around $840,000. The deed is registered to Christine Holloway. Is that your maiden name?" Christine's attorney objected, stating they have no knowledge of this property. Judge Pemberton raised an eyebrow as counselor argued about hidden assets. "I allow the respondent to present evidence of such assets," Ms. Bryce continued. Helen handed a copy of the deed to the judge and another to Gerald Stanton, who seemed to study it intently, possibly because he had never seen it before. Or maybe Christine lied to her own lawyer. "Mrs. Mercer," Helen inquired, "did you disclose this property during financial discovery?" Christine replied weakly that property is a family asset. It belonged to my aunt. Helen then presented another document, claiming they have the entire chain of title. "Property acquired by Holloway Coastal Investments, LLC, a firm belonging to Brent Holloway. Funds for purchase came via a wire transfer from a joint account between you and Mr." In front of Christine Holloway, an account not disclosed during discovery, the bank statements were positioned, prompting the question. "Could you clarify how $412,000 shifted from your joint marital accounts to this concealed account throughout a 5-year span?" Christine looked towards her lawyer. Gerald Stanton scrutinized the papers in his possession. Neither uttered a word. The silence prolonged, at which point Helen summoned Raymond Casolano to testify. Raymond detailed the subsequent 5 years of financial misconduct for the court, displaying transfer records, property acquisitions, furniture bills, renovation invoices, insurance documents for a seaside residence maintained by Christine using marital funds while falsely asserting visits to a college friend, as well as the emails uncovered by Mitchell. These emails revealed conversations between Christine and Brent about their investment tactics, their divorce timeline, and a plan to ensure Christine would retain both her covert assets and half of mine. In an email dated 14 months before Christine requested the divorce, she wrote, "Once this is finalized, B will never know what transpired. We just need to remain patient for a little while longer." Judge Pemberton perused the email twice, his facial expression unchanged, but his jaw tightened. "Casolano," Helen asserted, based on your expert analysis, "does the evidence support the idea that Mrs. Mercer intentionally deceived the marital estate for fraudulent purposes?" Raymond affirmed, "The pattern is undeniable. The accounts were deliberately set up to conceal assets from Mr. Mercer. Transfers occurred at strategic times, her maiden name was used, a third party was enlisted to confuse the trail of money, and this wasn't happenstance, it was orchestrated over several years." Christine sobbed uncontrollably, unlike the pretended tears she shed earlier. "These were raw, desperate, unsightly sobs," she exclaimed. "This isn't just you don't grasp the entire narrative. Daniel wasn't present, he prioritized his business over everything. I relinquished my entire career, my whole life." Judge Pemberton, interrupting sharply, "You're not being questioned about your emotional feelings towards marriage, but about $400,000 in hidden assets. Do you wish to respond to the evidence presented?" Christine looked at Gerald Stanton, who subtly shook his head, indicating there was nothing to say. The documents seemed to speak for themselves. Helen added one final piece of evidence, a series of photos taken by a private investigator 3 weeks prior, showing Christine at the beach house she claimed didn't exist, hosting a 4th of July barbecue, meeting with a real estate agent named Darlene Vickers touring an additional property in Wilmington, walking along the beach at sunset alone at a home built with money allegedly taken from the marriage. Judge Pemberton adjourned for a 30-minute recess. I stepped outside into the gloomy November air, standing on the courthouse steps and breathing. My brother Neil had arrived for the trial, finding me there, lost in thought. "How are you holding up?" he asked. I pondered the question, having been labeled a liar for 18 months, my children witnessing their mother accuse me of crimes I didn't commit, friends looking at me suspiciously, business partners distancing themselves, waiting for the case resolution. Now the truth had surfaced, not through my shouting or making accusations, but by collecting evidence and letting it speak. "I'm fine," I replied, and for the first time in a long while I truly meant it. In resuming proceedings, Judge Pemberton announced his initial judgments. My accusation of concealed assets by Christine was baseless, as investigations by Raymond Casolano found no undeclared income, hidden accounts, or fraudulent activities on my part. In contrast, Christine's own financial deceit was considerable and substantiated. The judge promptly froze all assets held under her maiden name, referred the case to the district attorney for potential criminal charges, gave me sole management of the marital estate until its final settlement, and cautioned Gerald Stanton, "Attorney, I trust you'll scrutinize your client's entire financial situation closely. This court is stern against lawyers who present false claims, even unintentionally. I advise you to conduct your own inquiry before our next session." Gerald Stanton responded rigidly without looking at Christine. 4 months later, I received 82% of the marital assets, including the house, my business, and all retirement accounts. Christine received her beach house and the remaining balance in undisclosed accounts, recognized as her sole property due to stolen assets from our marriage. The total worth was approximately $900,000, but she got nothing more, no alimony, no share of my business, nor a claim to our joint life. A criminal case against Christine for fraud and asset concealment is still underway, with Brent Holloway charged as an accomplice. Both are awaiting trial, facing up to 5 years in prison. My friends Mitchell and Caroline have stood by me throughout this ordeal, who, upon learning about their mother's deceit, were more hurt than I was. They find it difficult to forgive her for the divorce, the affair, but especially the lies, for lying to them and calling my honesty into question. I told Mitchell that forgiveness is self-healing when one is ready, and if he never reaches that point, that's okay too. I haven't forgiven Christine yet, barely think about her. I concentrate on rebuilding my life without a partner who didn't reciprocate our partnership. In court, my lawyer whispered to me the discovery of the house, causing shock on Christine's face when she realized her web of lies was collapsing. For anyone falsely accused or doubted by loved ones, I encourage you to relentlessly pursue the truth. Evidence, documentation, and facts will expose the deceit, making it the most powerful force in the world. Thanks for tuning into Cheating Story Lab. If your experience mirrors mine or this story resonates with you in any way, leave a comment below. Your story matters too, and remember, sometimes revenge isn't spoken but proven by facts.